This is Around the Town, and I'm your co-host, Tom Byrne.
And I'm Barbara Byrne, and our guest today is John Cassarino, Director of Open Door Mission. Tell us something about yourself, John.
Well, Barbara, I'm a resident of Rutland for 43 years, born and raised here. As you said, I'm the Director of the Open Door Mission for the last 4.5 years. I'm married, and my wife is a teacher at Lincoln School. I have 5 children.
Oh.
And I'm also a member of the local Board of Aldermen here in the city.
Tell us something about what you do at the mission.
At the mission. Well, we do a lot of things at the mission. Our basic thing is to feed the hungry, to shelter the homeless, and clothe the naked. We have several different functions there. One, for example, is that we have a 15-bed facility, Tom and Barbara, where we put up to 15 men for overnight. We also serve 3 meals a day, 7 days a week to these men. We also have a food shelf, which is sponsored by the area churches. This food shelf, we pick up food once a month, once a month, and we bring it to the mission, and then as the month goes on, people come from outside, that people that are on welfare, food stamps, or that are in emergency situations that don't have enough to meet their needs, and they come and they get an emergency supply of food. Usually it's enough food to get them through maybe 3 days. These are the 2 major functions of the mission. There are other things that we do, but they're not our major functions.
Right.
John, what do you do to make these people feel that they are human beings that other people care about, other than feeding and giving them a place to sleep?
Okay, well, our basic thing when a man comes in is if they want to help themselves, we'll help them. And if they don't want to help themselves, then we say, you know, we'll give you a night or 2 and goodbye. So most of the guys that come in, they're people that are looking for work. Right now we have 3 men working up at Killington. We have a couple other guys working different places. So what we try to do is say, look, we're going to give you 3 hots and a cot. We're going to give you a place to keep clean. And you're going to have a community here. When you come in at night, you've got somebody to talk to, some place to be. I mean, we're not heavy religion. We are backed by the churches, and we are a Christian mission. But we try to feed the people physically, but we also feel that the community and being able to deal with the other people there, having somebody there's nothing harder than to be in a room all by yourself. I mean, I know Mother Teresa of Calcutta says that the worst thing in the world isn't starvation, and isn't sickness. Sickness is loneliness.
Loneliness, I can believe that.
So when a guy comes in from work, at least he's got somebody to say, hey, I had a tough day at work. I mean, he might get the answer, so what? But at least he's got somebody to answer him back.
Right.
Also, in the past, we've had things like, we've had different ministers and priests come in and talk with the guys, and we've had a fellowship breakfast monthly. We haven't lately, but we sure will be starting them up again, we hope. And where we've had members from the community come where there's maybe 40 or 50 men, and they join in with the guys from the mission, and they sing, and they have a share, and it's a real nice thing. And
do you, excuse me, but do you take in women?
At this time, we are not able to take in women because of the way our facility is. I believe the battered women are now able to take in transient women for a short period of time. We do feed women. We have women. If they come and I probably get swamped later on, but if anyone in the city of Rutland is hungry, we tell them to come in at noontime. Anybody come in, even your guy filming us here, can come in and have a soup and a sandwich or a dish of goulash or something like that. And we basically keep it to noon hour because with darkness, our facility is not in the best shape.
That's true.
But if anybody needs anything, we've told the battered woman also that they have a woman over there that she can come over at noon hour and eat. At this time, there is a need. There is a need for a family shelter. I'm not so sure how deep the need is for women. I know there's a need, and we hope to be addressing that shortly.
Maybe the battered women can take care of that type of thing also?
They are trying. One of the things that we're proposing, in fact, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but the Open Door Mission will be on the ballot March 4th this year. And we're not like other agencies. What we are is we're privately run. We're 50% self-supporting through our little thrift store. And what we're asking for is that we would like to lease the vacant Park Street School. wearing two hats. One as the mission director, we would rather buy it and own the property from the city. But being on the board of aldermen, and as an alderman, I personally, and I'm sure there are some aldermen and some city officials that agree with me, would not like to see the city property sold. So in discussing with the mission board, we've approached them to ask them if we can lease it. And what's happened over the last, it's been almost 5 years that Park Street School has been vacant. They have had to pay heat down there. I don't know if they're doing it now, but I know for 4 years they heated it. They've had to pay for electricity. They've had to pay insurance on the building.
Oh, yes.
And what we're saying is, how about letting us lease it from you? Taxes on that building will be approximately $3,470 a year. But what we'd like is to be stabilized at that price for 10 years. In the meantime, that would give us a chance to find something else, because our facility is really not big enough. We've outgrown it. We would like to add several things to our facility. One is we'd like to have a daily soup kitchen that would be accessible to all people. Again, not just people that are hungry because they want to eat, people that are hungry because they're lonely, to be with other people.
Want to be around others, yes.
Exactly. And we'd like to have that, say, from 11 to 1, 6 or 7 days a week. And we could do that at Park Street School.
It's also in a better neighborhood.
Well, it's more accessible. Some people think, there's arguments. Some people say we're too far away from downtown. But I've talked to the ministers and the rabbi and the priest, and one of the things they could come up with is if somebody really had a problem getting down there, the bus goes by there every hour, twice an hour. So we could get the bus tokens and pass them out.
That's an idea.
That's one thing that we'd like to do. The other thing is we'd like to this space where we can build a small family shelter. Because what happens is you get a family that comes in, and they're just hung up for a night or two. And inevitably, I don't care if it's Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Synagogue, or the Grace Congregational, or the Trinity Church, or the Methodist, or whatever, all these ministers have been tapped once or so every so many months, where they put somebody up in a motel for a night. That's $50 or $60. If they could pick up the phone and call down there, we have a place where these people could stay for the night. And then in the morning, we would call the area agencies and find out. These emergencies usually don't happen 8 to 4. They happen at 10 o'clock at night, on a weekend, or on a holiday. We'd like to provide this service. And then we'd like a bigger food shelf. Right now, our food shelf, this is the 22nd of January, is just about empty. And this is our busiest time. Just a couple weeks ago, I was given $300 cash. I went out and spent that to try to resupply it. We're empty again.
But it's near the end of the month.
It's near the end of the month, and we're going to have to go this afternoon and buy some more food. Usually the churches donate. The churches are great. The people of Rutland are great. When you ask them for something, and if they see that it's a need, they come through. But we had a lot of food at Thanksgiving time. We had a lot of food at Christmas time. And yes, the people were being taken care of. And then the people sort of relax. And it happens in the middle of summer, and it's natural. You go on vacation, Tom, Barbara, I go on vacation, we forget to drop our stuff off. We have other areas that are trying to do it. The Central Vermont Public Services now trying to get involved with getting up some food to go to the food shelf. Brock has started a food shelf. But again, the problem is they're only open 8 to 4. So these are two of the things. The last thing that we'd like to put in, along with our regular mission that we have now, is a 7 to 7 shelter. Now this is something you'd see in most of your larger cities, because there are people out there that, for one reason or another, can't help themselves. We don't have a lot of them, but we'll run into them. They might be someone who's come out of the deinstitutionalization program, which is released from a mental hospital, walking the streets all night long. They might be someone that are disabled, or that is getting a disability, but by the end of the month they just can't make it, or they can't keep it right. These people are the people you see in the diners at night. They're the people you see walking the streets. I can take only so many of them. It might be a person that's just having a hard time stop drinking, that has that sickness of alcoholism. The 7 to 7 shelter would be set up separate from our regular mission area. This would be where anyone could come in at 7 o'clock at night. They might get a donut, a cup of coffee, they'd get a bunk, and then at 7 o'clock in the morning they would leave. These are people, like I say, for one reason or another, can't help themselves. But our dream is And I believe the clergy in this area, I know the clergy, I shouldn't say believe, that they're behind us on this, 100%. And we don't want to see anyone freeze to death or anyone starve. And we see things getting worse.
It's a strange phenomenon to, as our society advances, you see more and more lonely people. And you can walk in downtown Rutland and see numerous people. They have other individuals near them, but they're still lonely.
Yes.
And if someone speaks to them, they're surprised. And I've noticed that. But do you know approximately how many people that come to your place are troubled with alcohol? Or
I'd say probably about 60 to 70% of the people we deal with have alcohol-related problems. And then the other 30% would, well, I'd say probably 15 or 20% are people that have been let out of institutions or that should be in some type of structured homes that don't have anything.
Where they have supervision.
And then the other 10% are people that are just down and out. And we're seeing more of that type of person. People that have always worked, people that had families, and now they've been, because of the financial crunch with unemployment and losing their jobs, that we're seeing more of that. This summer we had a family come through from Michigan that was going to Maine for a job, and their car broke down. And you get a lot of that, and some of the people are just looking for money, but this was a legitimate, with little kids, and I found out they hadn't eaten for 2 days. And Father Tinney up at the Immaculate Heart and one of the other ministers, Dick Marisoli, ran in, and they gave me some money, and we took them over to Burger King and got them some gas and got their car fixed and got them on their way. And all the churches do this. I know Reverend Dean does it all the time. I know Father Smith does, Bill Byrne. They're always getting the touch put on them, but they don't care. I mean, this is part of their thing. I mean, I shouldn't say they don't care. They care about the people.
They don't care that they're asked to do this. It's part of their mission in life to do this.
Right, but one of the things is, if we can cut down on the double dipping, and we feel that the mission, we can do this, that we can have a center where we can take care of most of these needs.
Concentrate everything in one place.
Right, because we do get support from the churches. The churches are pretty much 50% self-support, and the other comes from churches, clubs like the Rotary Club and different clubs, and the Knights of Columbus and the Masons, and then we also get private donations.
so what you're saying is that some people actually are taking advantage of the system that we have.
Well,
because of it's available in more than one location, and
right, this will happen sometimes. In other words, we had, but the trouble is, you want to be sure. So you might get somebody that, as the street people would say, are conning you. But the point is, if you got 5 people that are conning you, but you got 10 people, you don't want to miss the 5 people that the churches feel. We don't want to miss these 5 people that are really in need. But what will happen sometimes is we give them a small amount of food. Well, they find out somebody else is giving out food vouchers, so they go there. And yes, it might be a con, but these people are trying to survive. I mean, welfare pays about 2/3 of their minimum need to live on. So it's hard. You get a family coming in, and you got to be careful. It's just not they're pulling a con on you.
You can't say no because they might.
Well,
you're not sure that they don't need it.
Right. When you look at the little kids, I don't know about you, but I got 5 kids, and the kid says, I'm hungry. He's not lying. He means it.
well, what you're telling us, John, sounds almost like a television script, and it leads me to believe that one or two of the shows that we've seen in the past few years, they're fairly accurate in the way they depict the problems of a mission.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Our mission is a little different. I've been in the big city missions. I've lived on the streets. I've slept in the alleys, and I've stayed at the Hyatt Regency in San Francisco. So
you know, both ends of the spectrum.
But it's hard to understand unless you've been there, and you got to get right down there and understand what it is. I mean, to stand in line with 600, 700, 800 people that are sick and unhealthy, and I only did it for 8 days, and I found out I was talking to myself. And I knew I could go home, and these people do it day in and day out. This is a rough life. But again, a lot of people will say, well, why can't they help themselves? Well, There are some that probably could help themselves, but believe me, that's few and far between. When you've got a sickness of alcoholism, it's a sickness. And when you have mental illness, you know, it's pretty hard. Who wants to hire you?
Well, you don't. Most of us don't pay too much attention unless it affects us personally, and then we begin to take a different attitude.
That's right.
John, you're an easy guest to have. We can just sit here and listen to you tell about the thing that you know.
My wife wants me to sit down with a tape recorder sometime and just tell stories, and believe me.
Well, I believe you must have a lot stored up in your head there.
Well, years ago there used to be a television program. I'm sure I say this to younger audiences when they look at me, but I'm sure you're more old enough.
We're old enough.
It's called The Naked City.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they used to say there are 8 million stories in the Naked City, and you know, and this has been one of them. Well, at the mission in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been about 8,000 stories, and they're all different. And what happens is I say these guys, but I come to really relate with them, man. And you find a lot of them that are really characters, and you really come to love them and care about them. And not that you shouldn't about other people, but you form some relationship. A guy came in last night that I haven't seen in 4 years when I first took over, you know. And the guy was a real con man, and he come back here to make restitution for something he did. And I was glad to see him. I liked him. I mean, I knew he was a con man, but I liked him. And they were interesting. And so we've had a lot of stories there. To give you a few facts and figures, last year the mission to the food shelf gave out almost 20,000 meals for street food in Rutland. And as far as our beds, we used just about 4,000 beds and served about 12,000 meals at the mission right there. And that's a lot for an area this size.
City this size.
Is this a regular, your chef, a regular employee, or your guests help sometimes?
Well, all the men there, this is where we differ from some places, all the men are expected to do duty.
Good.
You know, they're going to mop the floors, they do the dishes. Jim, my cook, was living in a park 5 years ago, and he was an alcoholic for 30 years, and this has really become a ministry for Jim. Jim gets paid, not a lot. He gets his room and board, and he cooks 7 meals, or 7 days a week, 3 meals a day. He makes a mistake once in a while, and if anybody complains, he tells them the Rutland restaurant's down the street, and he doesn't get too many complaints. So we're very fortunate to have it. And both him and my assistant are people that came through the streets that came in the mission.
Have you saved any lives that you're aware of?
I'm sure. You know, I'm just sure we saved lives in all kinds of ways. We had a guy that was very sick there one time, and Jim was a corpsman when he was in the Navy. And Jim got him to the hospital, and the doctor said another 2 hours and he would have been dead. Yeah, that's one of our kind of business is you don't really see the harvest sometimes. I mean, I'll get an envelope from Florida once in a while with $5 or $10 cash in it. I'll get one, don't even know who it's from. I'll get one from Tennessee. But a lot of times, I can tell it's from somebody that's passed through the mission. They'll print my name or they'll misspell it, and you know, but it'll be my name right on it. So it's not just somebody sending it to the organization. Or it'll be, thank you for helping me. That's it, no name. So sure, we saved lives.
Well, that really helps repay you.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's hard to measure success. If you've got a hardcore alcoholic, for example, and he stayed sober 3 months, or he was there 2 months or 3 days, that's a success for that short period of time. It's the same thing with, there's other people, for example, that have come in that one reason or another they should have been getting saved, for example, SSI. And what we have done is I've gone to court with them, I've gone over to White River, I've gone here to the federal building and talked to the judge, and I know there's 4 different gentlemen that we were able to help them through this for.
Because it's amazing how many people are wandering around that they could be getting federal benefits and they don't know it.
They're eligible.
And they're eligible.
They don't realize it.
And they just need someone to act on their behalf. You were an advocate for him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
very much so. But I think the big thing, and I'm politicking now, I'm taking this opportunity, is that we really need this Park Street School building. I know there's politics involved, and I know there's a hassle. Mayor Daly has tried to support us, and some of the aldermen have. And I guess this is going to happen, and no matter what you're going to do, that there's going to be this type of thing involved. So we're asking the people to please vote for us, because we want to make it a place that this city can be proud of. I mean, when you see this grand Rutland that gets so much play in the press now, 1987, we're going to really, really affect this, I think, because a lot of agencies are going to be cut that are dependent on federal funds. The mission is not. We have never been on the ballot. We've never asked the city for any money.
Well, certainly an empty building deteriorates rapidly.
Should be
If it's
better to
occupied, it's better
have
to
you
be
use it.
occupied.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, too, is like on the street kitchen, it's going to be pretty much a volunteer type thing. We will organize it and set it up, but we have, I know there's some of the sisters at Mount St. Joseph, or the sisters of St. Joseph that said they're willing. I know there's social action groups from many churches that are willing to come in. So this should get the community involved even more.
Yes, that's good.
No, the
That's
RSVP has well over 400 volunteers that do things every day in the week.
And I know your director, Ann Rowe, quite well.
Oh,
She's
yes.
a nice lady.
she is.
The volunteer people are doing a lot of things, and they can probably fill in a lot more voids when necessary.
Well, right now, what we have for volunteer work, people will call the mission and say, well, we'd like to volunteer to do something. And basically, all we've got is sorting the clothes in our little second-hand store. Which some people enjoy doing that, and this is their ministry, but other people want to be more involved with the people who
Yes.
come in. So this would be one way through our family shelter, through our soup kitchen, where the public could get more involved. We're also probably, we're not sure, we've been looking at the possibility, if there's a woman for some reason or other that battered woman won't be able to take on a one-night basis. For example, right now, the mission's in the same boat. If you came down to me tonight and needed a place to stay and you'd had a couple beers, I couldn't let you in. Battered woman's the same way, I believe, where in a 7 to 7 type shelter, the guy's had a couple beers, because this will be manned, there'll be somebody there 12 hours all through the night. He can still come in and have a place to sleep. So we're hoping to be able to even have that for a woman, and that's when we're going to have to call a woman to come in and sit that night and be there.
I can remember during World War II, the city of Portland, Oregon had a place called, I believe, the George White Service Center, and it was about a 5 or 6 story building, and it was kind of a mission for service people. And everything in there was on a voluntary basis. All of the food and the women, you could walk in, and if you needed your uniform pressed, you could go up to the second floor and a lady would do it for you, or sew on buttons. And the whole place was manned with volunteers from the city of Portland. And they were, in the same sense, the need, the filling a need that we have today to help people. And it isn't going to bust the budget of the community if we have enough volunteers.
Well, right. And volunteerism is really great in this country. I mean, the president's always recommended this. And you know, there's people up there, you know. I have a friend of mine, Father John Bruder from up north, and he'd say, you know, all the dead people aren't in the cemetery. And it's so true.
That's true.
And once people get involved, I have a couple of volunteers right now at the mission that are well over their 70s, and they're terrific workers that come in and sort. And I have one woman, Mrs. Hamilton's been here for 10 years, and you ought to see this lady. She's a sweetheart. You know, and this is just her little ministry that she enjoys doing.
And I'm sure in her mind, she's getting more out of that than she's giving.
I'm sure. In her mind, she feels that way. But we love to see her.
Right, I bet. Because
I think she'll probably shoot me for that famous. I think she's 77 or 78 years old.
Well, at that age, I don't think a lady would
oh,
be
you
too...
don't know.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned Portland, Oregon. I've been out in Portland, Oregon, and I've been down in Salem. In fact, I visited a mission in Salem, Oregon, and saw some of the things they had set up there and gave me some of the ideas for what I'd like to do. Portland is just a big 7 to 7 type shelter now, and it's pretty rough because I didn't go in there, but I went down and I watched it happen, and then come 8 o'clock at night, they've got 7 o'clock at night, they've got a line out there. And as soon as they get X number of people, the door's shut. And there's still people waiting.
So that's a seaport, so they get more than their share of transient.
Yeah, Seattle has a big population too, and I understand they have a mayor down there that's been very active in working with the homeless. And I know Mayor Koch, and I can say Mayor Daley has been quite supportive on this issue with us, and especially with the churches. And it's one of these things that you wish the people they go away, but they're not going to.
No. they're there.
And I'd say about 50 to 60, more or less about 60% of the people that we deal with are, I wouldn't so far as say Rutland City or Rutland County, but I'd say Vermont State residents.
I don't think the problem of lonely and homeless people is totally economic. There's another reason, or reasons that I don't think we've really discovered it yet. It's happening, but we don't really know what it is.
Some of it is ignorance, lack of education. You know, there's so many, like you say, so many different things that enter in. It's not one thing that you can put the finger on. The people that have been deinstitutionalized, it's the people from alcoholism, it's the state of the economy, people that have lost their jobs, all thrown in together. And it's people again that are lonely.
Right.
They lost their families or whatever. Makes that one, and it's people that can't afford.
John, does divorce enter into it? It
Divorce.
must.
Divorce.
Somewhat.
I've been divorced and remarried, and it seems to be a death to a lot of these people. I went in and it's a death of a relationship.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had several men that come to the mission and help them get it through. We ask what other things. We do provide counseling in a small amount, but we're not really set up for that type of thing. But if somebody really has a problem, I will ask them to go speak to Reverend Byrne or Father Kenny,
Someone that
can help them
them.
with a rabbi or whatever.
Well, the problem's been around a long time. I can remember it going as far back as 1939, being in Brooklyn Navy Yard, and there were people sleeping on the streets then, and the police used to come along in the morning and they'd hit them on the bottom of the foot with a nightstick to wake them up. So the problem has been with us a long time.
It's not going to go away overnight.
It isn't going to go away overnight. That's right.
And I think you're going to see a lot of customers doing ramen coming in, and it's better a private outfit, I think, and maybe because I'm prejudiced, but runs it than have the city have to run it. Some big organization.
Well, here's an opportunity for people to do something about it themselves, make a contribution, and not wait around for somebody else to solve the problem.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing I would ask for people, first, get out and vote. And second, please vote for us. We need that tool, and I feel the higher the vote, the better chance we have of getting it.
Well, John, we're certainly glad that you came to see us today, and I want to repeat myself. You're a very easy guest to have because
we've enjoyed
learning about
the mission.
And you know your subject so well, and you have a great feeling for it.
It's more than just a job.
Yes.
I know, you can see that.
And it gets in your blood. But I want to thank you both for having me here and Channel 8.
Well, this has been Around the Town. Thank you for watching.
Since your property